always been really, really intrigued with the marketing world. The world of media is so exciting. So the media industry allows me to be at the forefront of everything, to be honest. How do you keep transforming yourself as a leader? And so I keep having to learn and unlearn new leadership styles that I have to adopt. At the end of it, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is nothing happens. So, hello, I'm Eileen Ooi, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Omnicom Media Group Malaysia. In all fairness, I think I've always been really, really intrigued with the marketing world and the advertising world. I remembered actually defying my parents and wanting to study advertising and marketing, and my mom saying to me that, but you're not very creative, you're really good with numbers, so why are you not studying something like an actuarial science? So I said no, so I'm going to prove you wrong that I'm creative. I might not be able to draw, but I'm very creative in my mind. So that's the beginning of the journey, I guess, in defying and breaking conventions, and got myself into an advertising and marketing double degree, graduated with honors, fell in love with the marketing industry. But lo and behold, actually, I wanted to be in marketing, but I actually stumbled into media. So, and once I got into media, I never looked back, because the world of media is so exciting and it's ever changing, and I love being a person who's constantly learning. Kind of think about what the media industry can offer. There is no one industry that allows you the breadth to work across industries, across verticals, across different clients, to be able to learn to adapt and be agile in defining communication strategies. And at the same time, the landscape of media changes so quickly because consumers' lifestyle changes so quickly. So the media industry allows me to be at the forefront of everything, to be honest. And it's so pivotal today, whether we're doing a media plan today, but rather I think we are actually at the forefront of being able to see the tipping point of a consumer behavior change and its impact to advertising and marketing and even business operations. I mean, let's take the pandemic as a really good example, right? People think that the pandemic only affected business operations, but it affected every part of everything. And when digital suddenly boomed so tremendously, it's not just marketing plans that need to change. The entire business model has to change. And that, I think, is something that a lot of people don't actually realize the role that we play as a media consultant to the client. Because media today is not just, I'm going to buy you a Facebook ad or a Google ad, right? I'm going to advise you on the importance of how do you improve your platforms or understand the consumer journey or your user experience on site. It's completely different. And I think that's what's really exciting, right? Wait till Metaverse starts hitting the shores really soon. Our world's going to change again, and just it's exciting to always be at the forefront to pick all this thing up. And I think, scratch your head trying to figure out how to do it, but yet, we'll kind of always get there at some point, right? So I think that's really the exciting part of the industry. Is how do you keep transforming yourself as a leader, right? So when you become, let's say, a director, the way you need to manage your team is very different. When you move into a head of a division role, the way you lead is also very different. So you learn between leadership with authority versus leadership with influence, and then you think about whether you would take an empathetic route or do you take a task route. And today I think it's so blurred because different characters that we have to deal with as well, and the different stakeholders that we manage. So for me, I think it's that transformative moment where you actually become aware of who you are and where your gaps are and your opportunities and your strengths as well, to be honest. And then you keep pivoting at every moment in that leadership role. I mean, even as I moved into this CEO role, the leadership of what I've had before in PhD may not necessarily work too. And so I keep having to learn and unlearn new leadership styles that I have to adopt. Things are becoming more real-time and more automated. So I think one of the most significant changes for me, at least, is the impact of machine learning. And us as planners and strategists as well in the industry, is not only do we need to understand and in a way communicate with machine learning capabilities, that is the biggest fundamental change in how, as an agency, media planning has changed, right? Because we no longer just think about how do we win the consumers over, but we also now need to think about how do we win the algorithm over? How do we outsmart the algorithm to ensure that our campaigns will be the most effective and also the most efficient way of delivering it as well. And that machine learning capability will continue to grow because deep learning is going to come in. And with the metaverse universe coming on board, with NFTs breaking, with e-commerce and all of these, we are perpetually, constantly trying to understand how the machines are going to work. And I'm not even touching the point about Internet of Things yet, right? When we start talking about wearables, that's a whole new set again. So I would say this would be, I think, one of the biggest change and the biggest, most exciting as well. But it really keeps us as planners on our toes all the time. As long as we understand that we're no longer just communicating to the end consumer, we also have to communicate to the algorithm. The reality is, as the landscape continues to evolve very rapidly, agency network, it is critical that we need to keep transparency and also accountability at the forefront of the values that we operate. In Omnicom Media Group specifically, we are a stickler. We hold that with very high regard, not just in Malaysia, but actually globally as an overall principle in the way we operate. It's critical that as agency network, it's important that it is not just about driving the revenue, but really driving effectiveness for our clients in the way we deliver our plans or our buys as well. But I think the biggest challenge, if anything, I would say is self-belief. And being in an Asian context, most Asians will resonate with this. We are in a way brought up with a glass ceiling mentality. Make sure you gotta study hard so that you can get a good job, because if you don't study hard, you can't get. And that in a way builds up this sense of fear, right? A sense of insecurities in our own capabilities. So for me, I think that is one of the biggest challenge, that even at different point in time, sometimes you question yourself and said, should I be doing this or should I not be doing this? And that is the biggest convention, I think, as a leader as well as a woman leader to break. There's two things, I think, for me. One, at a company level, I am on a mission to build Omnicom Media Group to be an agency network that is enviable for its culture. On a personal legacy perspective, I want to be sort of remembered as not just the business leader who has transformed the business, but I think a business leader that has made an impact in individual lives, especially my employees and my staff and my team, and in the industry as well. Self-belief can take you far, or it can limit you as much as you want it to be. So for me, I think, just be fearless and be courageous, and go out there and, grab and seize the opportunity that is there, and don't second guess yourself, right? At the end of it, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is nothing happens. That's the worst, right? But at least you know that you would have taken the necessary actions to get to where you want to be. And the worst is nothing happens. That's it. You just stay put. My name is Eileen Ooi, and I am an empowered woman.